massive in here, isn't it?
Everyone says that, but
It's like a cathedral.
like, yeah, but it's actually, it'll get filled quite quickly.
I'm sure
as soon
it
as
will, yeah.
It feels big just because it's empty, but it will be a nice, snug distillery once it's all put together.
Snug.
So that's what we're hoping for, isn't it? We want it to feel cosy.
Good.
So we've created this whiskey and we've asked you to kind of visualise and represent the profile of this whiskey within your art.
It was important for me to kind of look beyond St Andrews a bit as well and find little things that are unexpected, that people might not know that's there already. And I love animals, flora, fauna, and I wanted to really bring that to the design as well, and the surrounding area, the landscape, the environment, and kind of do a sort of wider look at, where the whiskey is being made, where the distillery is, but also really kind of zoom in on little moments, little stories, visual stories that are happening as well. So I just wanted it to be the more you look, the more you see kind of thing, if that makes sense. There's all sorts of amazing locations and viewpoints around here where you can look down and see the distillery within the environment, from quite far away. And I think that was the thing that really kind of stayed in my mind, was the iconic shape of the distillery, and it somehow to me sort of represented what's going to be the shape of the packaging as well. There's these wonderful sort of geometric shapes. It's thinking about the colours that came to mind, when we spoke about, the flavours that you were trying to bring into the whiskey and the expression. So thinking about these bright colours, but also, thinking about those smoky notes, just those kind of elements, earthy elements as well. And just combining all of those things, but along with drawing of animals, people, places, representing the distillery, and just having things layered upon each other and blending them and playing around with them and experimenting. So yeah, it's a kind of happy place to go to when you're making that kind of work, yeah.
Definitely.
So Scott, what about you? Where does inspiration start for you?
Inspiration starts primarily way back when we filled the casks, looking at the flavours those casks were bringing and just trying to project forward. How is that going to influence our kind of fresh new make spirit develop over its first kind of formative years? Creativity in my process is all about how the flavours come together in the end. So each release in the series, we're starting with whiskey that we've set down years and years ago, but we're bringing them together in different ways, kind of experimenting on how the flavours interact with each other and then develop on the palate in each one. So for each product that we bring out in this series, we're really trying to showcase a different combination of flavours, starting with what we've created from our time before.
So it's quite what I've just been talking about layering.
Yes.
It's quite similar, isn't it?
Yeah. The
flavour.
layering's a brilliant word, because layering the flavours in, making sure that they come across balanced but come across distinctive, is part of the challenge in creating a whiskey that's really kind of approachable and enjoyable.
So we're both artists then?
In a way, for me, yeah. Definitely you're both artists. So like a whiskey, your art has so much kind of depth and complexity to it. Is this something that's, common across all your artwork, or is it something that kind of arises naturally based on the inspirations you take around you?
Well, every project's different, but I think for this one, there was so much to choose from, really, in terms of where I kind of pulled my inspiration and influence from. So, from location to talking to you about the flavours that you were bringing into the whiskey and what you wanted to kind of achieve with that. Every single, I think, word that you uttered about that, like grassiness and vibrancy and smoky sweetness, there was a whole list of things. Like every one of those made me think, colour or texture or, combination of things. How can I play with that? And, getting busy in my studio, sort of, getting mucky, playing around with my inks and my crayons and everything. And just seeing if that you know, when I was looking at that, if that hit the right note creatively, if it looked right, if I felt, you know, what is that saying something visually, and what's it going to say to the people that are going to, you know, buy this whiskey and drink it?
I agree, but I think part of the kind of the charm and wonder of whiskey as a category is there's such a diverse range of flavours across the whole kind of profile of Scotch whiskies that there's always, in my opinion, there's always something for everyone. What I've aimed for in this is to really balance that out with kind of sweeter, more kind of fruity notes via cask finishing, kind of rein in the smoky influence, smooth it round the edges basically, and then it's something that's more of a kind of sweet, smoky shortbread kind of profile rather than anything kind of overly phenolic, something that's more kind of accessible to everyone.
So what's your take on how creating whiskey and creating art connect?
I think of that one, I'm going to use one of your words from earlier. I think kind of layering's a massive part of it. Like for whiskey creation, all whiskies that we make and generally made in Scotland, they're all starting from a very small subset of kind of base raw materials, and the kind of combination and layering of them in, trying to achieve a unique delivery of flavour at the end is kind of the goal of whiskey creation, is making more of something less, trying to build something up and hopefully put it out for people to enjoy at the end of the day.
But I think also, I was thinking about the word tradition as well.
Yeah.
I mean, whiskey making has been going on for, well, hundreds of years, maybe longer, we don't know. As has people making art as well.
Definitely.
So I think that I think certainly in the kind of art that I create, there's definitely traditional elements. You know, some of the materials and the tools that I use have been used for hundreds of years. I just put a modern slant on it.
Exactly.
And I think that's kind of what you're doing as well, isn't it?
Definitely, that kind of modern approach to a traditional craft is really kind of core to the whiskey making process.
Yeah.
But where we get to really explore and be creative is the kind of interaction between these flavours, different cask maturation, different cask finishing, really incorporating flavours from different kind of casks into the product, see how they interact with the new make spirit whiskey that we've made as it develops over time and becomes the finished product. So it's really flavour experimentation, seeing what works well with whiskey and what kind of adds new interesting notes to a very, very traditional spirit category.
So there's artistry in there as well.
Definitely, yeah.
Right, okay. Yeah, I mean, it's been a really lovely, interesting project because there's been so much freedom in it for me. Yeah, I basically got to go away. We just, you know, talked about, you are able to play with creating whiskey. I mean, got to do exactly that with this project as well. And I think I started it, I mean, even pretty much halfway through it, or even 3/4 of the way through it, not knowing exactly how it was going to look when it was finished. Yeah, so I like that. I like when I do a project like that and you think, oh, I don't know how this is going to look at the end. But there's always that moment when you sit back and you think, no, it's done now. If I do anything else to it, it's just fiddling about with it, really. And I'm really pleased with that. I'm really happy with the way it looks. And I can't wait for it to be released into the wild.
Same here.
So what's so special about this year's whiskey?
So this year's whiskey, what we have done for this one, we've wanted to do a kind of a lightly peated core release for a while, but I wanted something that would kind of elevate it a bit and bring something more to that style. And we took some kind of very high quality champagne cognac casks in, and kind of the kind of sweet, kind of earthy character from those casks I felt would really work hand in hand with the very kind of sweeter peat smoke from the peated spirit, and I thought it would be a perfect cask choice for finishing this. In fact, let's just open some and try some.
I was hoping you were going to say that.
Yeah. So those flavours going hand in hand was kind of the aim for this. But yeah, so on the nose it is still very kind of lightly sweet smoky. It doesn't go too heavy to start with. There's just a kind of gentle warming kind of amber kind of bonfire smoke. Nothing heavy and harsh, but with an underlying hint of kind of lighter fruit. It's a bit kind of robust on the nose.
That's really nice.
Starts off kind of very, very sweet, that kind of earthy, kind of grapey kind of, it's a dense sweetness coming from the cognac casks up front, which then kind of the smoke starts to emerge through that. It becomes kind of warming and kind of like, as I said, like a beach bonfire kind of warming kind of palate. It doesn't go too overly sharp right at the back. It just, the smoke kind of fades and it remains kind of biscuity, kind of shortbready, and generally a very kind of light finish.
I definitely drink that whiskey.